So I will go ahead and start by introducing myself. My name is Katie. It's Brewster if you've been talking to me all year long, but you might also see it as Clark because I got married 2 months ago. So Katie Brewster Clark. I am a senior admission counselor, been here for about 3 years, and I work with students from Northwest Georgia, as well as a lot of our out-of-state students. So Tennessee, Virginia, and along with that, I work with our transfer students. So if we've got any transfer students here today, welcome. We appreciate you guys as well. So I will go ahead and bounce off to our other senior counselor, Ethan. Ethan, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our Meet Your Supports team event. So quick introduction. My name is Ethan Hawkland. I'm a senior admission counselor here at Oglethorpe, and I've been here for about 3 years now. I specifically work with students from Cobb, Cherokee, and Douglas counties in Georgia. And I also work with students from North Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So kind of all over the place. But I've been here, for a couple years now, so pretty well versed. So if there's any questions you might have, feel free to ask me. But I will go ahead and pass it off to my colleague, Juliana.
Hi everyone, my name is Juliana, and just as a reminder, if you haven't muted yourself, make sure you mute yourself. I know there's a lot of us, so I know that it can be kind of hard to hear, but I'm Juliana Cardoza. I know a lot of you. I oversee DeKalb and some of Florida. I'm really excited for this summer, and as always, if you need anything, reach out to us. We are so happy to help. And never start with, I'm sorry to bother you, because it's never a bother. I will pass it on to Jasmine.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine Rainey. I am actually the newest staff member here at Oglethorpe, specifically in the Office of Admission, but I am our new manager of visitor experience. So I am here to ensure that your visit here on campus is an enjoyable one. So as Katie mentioned, we do have tours starting up this summer. Today was our first day back of in-person tours. So if you have not seen the residence halls, feel free to reach out to me or any one of our staff, or you can just email visits@oglethorpe.edu and I'd be happy to accommodate you. But if you have not gotten the chance to see a campus in its entirety, we do have full campus tours going on as well. So res halls tours, full campus tours, and then we also have a few other events throughout the summer that will be going on as well. And I will pass it on over to Autumn.
Hey, how are you? My name's Autumn. I'm an admissions counselor here at Oglethorpe. My territories are Fulton County, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and I think I'm missing one, but that's okay. So if you know me, that's great. I see a few of you that I do know, so it's kind of good to put a name with a face. I'm also an alumna of Oglethorpe, so I graduated in May of 2020. In addition to that, I am also the assistant women's lacrosse coach here on campus. And I'm going to turn that over to Tucker now.
Hi everyone, my name is Tucker Hammonds. I'm also an admissions counselor here at Oglethorpe. I actually graduated from here in May of 2019, and I work with students from basically southeastern coastal Georgia, as well as counties like Henry and Rockdale. But my out of Georgia territories include all of Texas and all of the Northeast, and I also work with transfer students as well. Let's see, who hasn't spoken? Yeah, Christian. I will pass it to Christian.
Hey guys, my name is Christian Willingham. I've been working at Oglethorpe since June of 2019. So actually this end of this month will be 2 years since I've been here. Really enjoy working at Oglethorpe and also with all of you guys. I have quite a lot of students. I actually have the biggest territory because I have Gwinnett County. I also work with students who are from Northeast Georgia. So that's basically LJ over to South Carolina, Tennessee border down to about Augusta. So if you're anywhere in that range, there's quite a lot of students in there as well. Really excited to get to go through this process over the summer with you. I think that summer orientation stuff is so fun. I know you guys are disappointed that a lot of it's going to be virtual, and we're gearing up. At least you guys are going to get to be here in the fall, right? Definitely not, they couldn't say that last year, but we've got a lot of great events lined up for you guys to get to know each other and get through this process as easily as possible. Like Juliana said, please don't hesitate to reach out. You don't have to worry about bothering us because we literally get paid to talk to you guys about things. So whatever you need, we are here to do it. And also just a quick plug that if you're not already following the Instagram, Juliana and I run that. She's way more cool than me. So if you see anything cool ever posted, actually she has posted it. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm just along for the ride. But it's called Ogle Class of 2025. So if you have not followed it, pop on there and follow it sometime today. And then I guess I'm going to hand it back off to Katie.
Awesome. And that is not all of the support staff that we have on here today. Kinsley, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, I'm Kinsley. I'm a rising senior at Oglethorpe. I'm one of the orientation council leaders. I'm also president of Oglethorpe's Panhellenic Council. I'm also president of Rehearsal Room C, which is our student theater organization. I'm very involved in my sorority, which I'm currently disaffiliated from. I'm also philanthropy chair for the Theater Honor Fraternity, Alpha Psi Omega. And I think that's all of my long list of things I do. And I'm really happy to be here. And I love orientation. I love orientation weekend. And so I'm really excited to help lead you guys through that process.
And so for a bit of clarification on people who don't know what disaffiliating is, basically in her role over the Greek organizations, she no longer will talk about or post about on her Instagram her own organization, because truly we are trying to welcome you guys to the school as a whole, rather to one specific organization. So thank you for joining us, Kinsley. So now, honestly, we're going to be passing it off to you guys. As you'll see, we made this a meeting rather than a seminar like we have been all spring. That is because we don't want this to feel like a panel. You can see we are in our own houses. We are relaxing. We want to answer your questions. We want to chat. We want to hear what's important to you guys to hear about right now as we start off this summer orientation. So if you want to just unmute, if you want to raise your little emoji hand through the reactions, or if you don't want to come off camera, on camera, you can put a question in the chat box and I will read it out to everybody. But if none of the 90 of you have any questions, we can just start chit-chatting, because that is what this group does best. So awesome. Oh, I missed one more OL who's here today, Danielle. If you want to go ahead and unmute and introduce yourself before we get into the Q&A.
Hi, yes, it's fine. My name is Danielle Briggs. I'm a rising senior this year. I am also president of Black Student Caucus. I am captain of the Oglethorpe University cheer team, and I'm also the assistant manager for the University Singers, and a plethora of other things on campus. You name it, I'm probably a part of it. Yeah, so I'm also a orientation leader. I am the events team lead this year. So any and all events that you guys will be doing during welcome weekend, as well as the first week of school, are all events that I probably came up with for you all. So you'll be getting to know me pretty well this summer, because everything you do, I will be attending.
Yeah, I would love if one of you could give us kind of a basic description of some of the phrases and shortenings and different things that we say that students might not know what it means. So for instance, what is an OL? What is an orientation leader? Why are you guys important?
Okay, I can answer that. An orientation leader, we are the students, it's probably like a team of 25 of us. We are the ones that are in charge of kind of ushering your transition into college. So over welcome weekend, you all move in on that Friday. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we are kind of your upperclassmen guides into making sure that you have a familiar face on campus, and that you have somebody that you can relate to that's your age if you have any questions or comments. And we're kind of there just to be your support system as you transition from leaving high school to coming into college. So you'll hear us say like OL or orientation leader, but they're both like, they go together. They're both synonymous.
I remember my entire first year at Oglethorpe felt like each weekend I was learning just like a different phrase that people use. I'm like the TLCC. Okay, Turner Lynch Campus Center. That's the the building that most things are in. Great. So love to get some definitions in there. We're getting some great questions in the chat. First one being, what do we love most about Oglethorpe? So obviously I'll let the students talk the most about this. I will say my personal favorite thing about Oglethorpe is how welcoming the community is. That I, as a couple of our staff members mentioned, they're alums. I am not. I actually went to school in an entirely different state, but I was a little nervous that I would feel like an outsider when I came here. But I like to say I'm a junior now. I'm a junior in counselor year. It's been 3 years. And it really does feel like a second home. I love the Stormy Petrels, so and that is all because of how warm and welcoming all of our students are. So I'll also let Autumn and Tucker answer, since you guys were students. Autumn, if you want to jump in about your favorite thing about Oglethorpe.
I will. I would have to say my favorite thing about Oglethorpe was just the community feel, not only with the students, but also with the faculty and the staff. And I know you kind of come in thinking that that's not going to really weigh or matter as much as it does, but until you're in the class and you have the freedom and the liberty to raise your hand and ask a question and maybe ask the professor to go back a slide. I know a lot of our students, as kind of Danielle mentioned earlier, are heavily involved. So there's going to come a time to where maybe you have multiple tests on a day, or all of your finals are on a day, or maybe you play a sport and you're traveling, and you want to have that one-on-one connection to say, hey, is there a time that I can reschedule, and things like that. But you also want, to some degree, to know your professors on a level and to have them know you. So you're not just a name in a lecture hall. You're not just a number in a seat. You are a person. They know your writing style. They know your likes and dislikes, and maybe not to the level that you would a friend, but to a level that you feel understood and heard in class. So maybe if something comes up that is a topic that you and several others in the class have different opinions on, that you feel comfortable voicing that opinion. And I think having a space where those conversations can be had, and having a space where you can feel seen and heard in all situations, that really went a long way for me, and it still does. And clearly I haven't left, I'm still here. That's just how much I truly enjoyed being on campus. So yeah, that's my answer. And if Tucker's here, I will let him answer it too.
And while Tucker's coming on, I'll go ahead and say Autumn is speaking from experience when she says negotiating that scheduling of being a student athlete. She is a D3 athlete extraordinaire. Looks like Tucker might have hopped off. So Kinsley, if you want to say your favorite thing about Oglethorpe, I'd love to hear it.
So I definitely have two kind of favorite things. The first one, I feel like everyone agrees that the community is one of the best parts about Oglethorpe. The entire community is just so small and like so connected. No matter where you go, you're always gonna know like at least one person in the room. And so I really love that connection that I can have with almost everyone on campus. And then my second favorite thing is not everyone's favorite, but it's actually the core program. I really love how we do the core program. It's unlike any other school that I've ever looked into or heard about. And I've, so far in the past 3 years, I've already learned so much that will be more useful than a regular history class or a regular English class, that I'll be able to use for the rest of my life. And I've just really loved the experience of being able to go through the core program. So.
Awesome. And yeah, when we're talking about small classes, truly we have an average of 17 students per professor. Once you get into those upper level classes are going to start getting even smaller and smaller as you kind of get into your specialty. But unlike some schools where like when you say average, it's like, okay, you have 1 3-person class and 1 100-person class. When we say average, we cap 99% of our classes at 24 students. So with that, we were never going to be sitting in a giant seminar. This is probably like the biggest room of people you would ever be sitting in as an Oglethorpe student, and this would be during like an assembly. So truly you have that ability to get to know your professor. If you're using certain equipment during the lab, like actually physically, which can be really fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead, Danielle, if you can go next. But I also saw a great question about how you transitioned into college from high school, which I know is something on a lot of our students' minds right now. So I'm curious how you felt Oglethorpe was able to support you in that time, and just, you know, your struggles or your support in that.
Okay, to answer, well, both questions, but to start with the latter question that you asked, my transition into college, Jesus, that was a while ago. It was very, Oglethorpe was actually a school that I toured in middle school. During my 8th grade year, my middle school took us on a trip to Oglethorpe. So this was before like the Cousins building was even like up. This was like back when Oglethorpe was small and nobody really knew about it, like outside of my district. And I remember stepping on campus and I felt like I was at home. And I ended up attending because when I came for my map days, everyone who was there was so involved in making sure I was comfortable. Every question that I had asked was answered. Any problems that I had were addressed. The part that probably helped the most was our welcome weekend. Because I have an outgoing personality, but in certain situations I do get really shy. And Autumn was actually my orientation leader. And so she was not going for me just being like standing off and quiet and in the corner. Like they were very hands-on with us. And I think that's what eased my transition and even pushed me to being an orientation leader, just feeling comfortable and being able to be okay with being away from home because I knew I had this really good support system who was going to make sure that I was taken care of. So that was probably the easy thing about transitioning from high school into college, was that support system, because I think without it, it would have been a bumpy ride, but it was a really smooth transition into freshman year.
Kinsley, was that
I'll definitely say that I was terrified when I first came to Oglethorpe. I'd never stepped foot on the campus until my first map day. So I had no idea what I was getting into. And I also am from Southeast Georgia, so a large majority of Oglethorpe students are from the Atlanta area. So I was going in completely blindsided. I had no idea what to expect. But I will say my OL, who still helps with Oglethorpe, but she's not really that involved anymore. My orientation leader really developed and bled how I've lived my life the past 4 years. I tell her all the time how much she is actually, inspired me and really been a big influence on my life. She thinks I'm completely lying to her, but I'm not. So definitely having her and being able to follow her lead and her example was really impactful for me. Also, not to plug Greek life, but I will plug Greek life. Joining a sorority, any Greek organization, any organization on campus, just find where you belong, whether that's the Black Student Caucus, an honor organization, whether that is Greek life organizations. Find where you belong and where you can have a home is really important. I know my sorority sisters have been the world to me, especially the past year when we've been separated. I've been stuck at home the past year, away from everyone. And so having those connections are really important, especially right now when we're all in this virtual format. Having those connections are really important.
awesome? Thank you. I see a hand up, Malachi. Would love to hear your question.
So I have a question about the Greek organizations. Do I have to be do we have to be like, how can I explain this? I mean, how can I access? So are we able to join as freshmen, or do we have to be over a freshman year?
So it depends on which organization. So for the Panhellenic organizations, our 3 organizations are Tri Sigma, Alpha Sigma Tau, and Chi Omega. They have a recruitment process, which usually happens within the first few weeks of school. And then we have 3 IFC organizations, which are fraternities. That's Chi Phi, Sigma, Alpha Epsilon, and Delta Sigma Phi. And they usually have a similar process to the Panhellenic, where they have a recruitment process that is done within the first few weeks. And then we have two Divine Nine organizations, which is Alpha Phi Alpha and Alpha Kappa Alpha. And they, I believe, usually tap sophomores in general. And then they have a completely different process that is usually done towards the spring, I believe, of people's sophomore year. And then the local organization, Epsilon Iota Psi, kind of has a more similar process to the Divine Nine organizations as well. So yeah, if you have any other questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them to best of my ability. I'm sure someone else on here, Danielle, can talk some about them. Yeah.
Yeah, and right now we're talking about some of our social Greek organizations. I will say we have quite a few organizations as well if you're interested in being in an honor society, particularly within your major or within your minor. There are definitely opportunities for that too, as well as one that is specifically geared towards philanthropy. So there's a lot of different things for different people. I saw another question that was about how you can start a club. So for instance, if you look at our list of 100 clubs and can't find one that is tailored to your interests. So for instance, last year, one of my students wanted to start this nonprofit called A Bear, a Book, and a Balloon, which was raising funds to make gift baskets for children healthcare of Atlanta. What you do is you go to our student government, and that is exactly why you guys pay those student activity fees. All of that money goes into clubs. So the student government is in charge of distributing that money, making sure it's going towards things you guys are interested in, events you guys are interested in. And so if either of you are involved in student government in that way, if you could talk about kind of what the actual process looks like of applying to create a club.
So I don't know if they were unmuting, but I was also on SGA as a student, so I can speak to that a little bit. So basically, as Katie mentioned, your student activities fees, that is a one-time fee that pays in each semester. So in the fall and in the spring, the clubs we have on campus will come to us with a list of events that they want to do, and they'll also have the cost that takes and all the funds that we have from you guys and in the account. Will pay for all of that. So if you're in that club and organization, anything that they are putting on, whether it be an outdoor event, a movie night, or any kind of like a weekend trip, I know our outdoors club does that oftentimes as well, will be completely covered to you as an Oglethorpe student. So they'll come request the funds. We can either accept it or amend what they're asking to be approved. But that's essentially how that process goes about. But the cool thing is, as long as you are a member of that club, it's going to be free to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Otto. I appreciate it. I saw Alejandro Mattis hand up next, if you'd like to ask your question.
Okay, so just wondering, what was the process of the summer before college and then the first days of college? Were they like scary and nerve-wracking for any of you?
I can answer that question a little bit. Yes, I will say it was a little bit nerve-wracking for me. But like I said, the support system is everything. You are assigned a group, your orientation group. So you probably have a group of about 20 people who you'll be with the entire welcome weekend for almost every event. And I truly can say, even the group me's, the group chats that they had us in during the summer, I was able to meet the friends that I have to this day, and I'm about to be a senior. So that took a lot of the nervousness out of it, the anxiousness out of it. My best friend was in my orientation group, and we've been friends together since then. My entire friend group, which you guys will see on campus, we met each other during our orientation weekend. So everybody's nervous and there are a lot of nerves, but I think if you go into it with an open mind and you are open to getting to know the people in your group, you'll find yourself honestly just fitting in like the rest of us do. It can be a very nerve-wracking process, but I think if you just go into it with an open mind and being willing to get to know people, you'll realize like Oglethorpe is probably the friendliest place on earth.
So it's like the people in orientation, chances are going to be like the people you'll most likely be friends with at the school, or you think you will meet more?
Both and. Some people make their best friends the first week of school. Some people, I met one of my lifelong best friends the second semester of my senior year of college. Really, the incredible thing about going to a small school is that you are constantly interacting with different people. That's one of my favorite things about the way that core works, is that your classes, you're not just with people of your major, people of all majors. So if you have someone who you do bio and they did sociology, you might never meet them at another school. But at Oglethorpe, you might meet them at an event. You might meet them in a core class. You might meet them in just like a random elective that you thought sounded fun. There are a lot of opportunities to get to know people and to make friends across your years. Just that orientation group tends to be some of the first people you meet, along with, of course, your roommate, the people who live on your floor. Our residence assistants will put on a lot of events to make sure that you get to know the people that you're living with if you're living on campus. And if you're a commuter, we also have some really great commuter events with our commuter club. So lots of opportunities with that. Ethan, oh, you went in for a drink of water right as I said it. Ethan, I have some logistics questions that came in, and I don't feel like just talking the whole time. So I'm going to read out the logistics questions to you, and you're going to answer them. Ready? Yes, he's ready. Great.
Yes, I'm ready. Don't worry.
How can we use our Petrol passes other than an ID?
Yeah, so your Petrol Pass actually has a lot of different uses. So your Petrol Pass actually is what you would use at all of our Petrol partner locations in Atlanta. So any places that you go to in order to get like discounts if you're going to a restaurant or whatever it may be, you get discounts there. It also gives you access to campus. So we have a gated campus. So the front gate where you would drive in with your car, or our pedestrian gate to the side going to Town Brookhaven. Both of your Petrol passes can be used there to access campus. Additionally, you would also use your Petrol pass in the dining hall. So there's a lot of different uses to your Petrol pass. So definitely a very important part of your Oglethorpe experience as a student is keeping up with those for sure. And you get to keep it after you graduate. So it's always a nice like little memento to have even after graduation.
I might still use my college ID at Madewell. No one can stop me. They don't know I'm not a 7th year senior. It's fine. So, Ethan, what do final transcripts do?
Yeah, totally. So as we are going throughout this summer, we will need your final transcripts, whether that's from your high school or if you dual enrolled anywhere, we need your dual enrollment transcripts as well. So we'll need those in the next upcoming weeks as we are working on putting together your course schedules for the fall through the Academic Success Center. So make sure you get those to us as soon as you can. The other action item that I will go ahead and plug in here, I wasn't sure if you're going to ask, Katie, is your enrollment checklist. So you guys should check out your Petrol portal. It's the same application portal that you use to, apply, as well as do your course preference form and things of that nature. So you guys need to log on to that. That's apply.oglethorpe.edu/status and complete any of the forms that are left on there for you to do over the summer. So this includes your billing and payment form, your FERPA form, immunization compliance form, anything you can imagine. It's all going to be located on there for you to complete. So getting that done as soon as you can, but at least by the end of the summer for sure.
Ethan, I love how you read my mind. Yes, the next 2 questions we had were about course schedules and about bills. So yes, we will be sending out that information. Hopefully you've been receiving our emails about MAP. Hopefully that's how you're here. But each different module throughout the summer will be related to what's most important to know that week. So we'll be talking about bills the week bills come out. We'll be talking about your course schedules, the schedules come out, and really we have a very hands-on advising process. So if you have any trouble with your schedule, we will work through it with you. I see quite a few questions about cars in the chat. Yes, freshmen are allowed to have cars. You don't need it if you don't have one, especially because we do have Town Brookhaven right next door. And Kinsley, I see you nodding if you want to talk about Town Brookhaven.
I absolutely love Town Brookhaven. It can be a little pricey, I will admit. We are in Metro Atlanta in the bougie part. So it can be a little pricey sometimes. But I actually was a commuter my freshman year. I stayed with family that lived in the Atlanta area. So having that area so close to Oglethorpe, I was literally able to just leave my car on campus most of the time and just walk wherever I needed to go when I wasn't on campus. So having Town Brookhaven right there and also the MARTA station is very close by is really two great resources that we have literally almost right on our campus that are really great uses for people who live on campus, who don't have cars, who are even commuters that are just kind of freely available for the most part. So yeah.
I've walked over during lunch to like get my groceries at Publix, to go to Costco, to get like my pharmacy stuff from Publix. It really is kind of your one-stop shop if you do not have a car, to be able to get everything you need to like survive as a human being. So it is a very useful thing to have. Got a couple questions about other in-person opportunities to meet people, because obviously this is fun but not the most easy way for you guys to actually chat with each other. So obviously we're not gonna have a million in-person events this summer because of COVID, and we'll talk in a minute about what we are doing in terms of COVID in preparation for the fall. But there are a couple things we're gonna do. First off, if you've seen, we're gonna do some affinity group events. So those are going to be small group events. They will be virtual to start. If you guys attend them, we might be open to hosting them in person in August, but that is up to you guys because I will not be sitting on campus in an empty room by myself. So if you want to meet in person with your affinity group, come to the June session. I will plug mine for tomorrow. It's Petrels in Atlanta, where I'm going to be talking about how much fun it is to be a young adult in the city, whether you're from here like me or from out of state. So hope you guys will be able to join me for that. In terms of next questions, let's go to one of our lovely people with our hands raised. Someone has had it. David Martinez.
Okay, so first of all, good afternoon, guys, and thank you, everyone in the support team for taking the time today to, just inform us, instruct us, prepare us for the start of college. My main question that I've been trying to get an answer for is I'm very interested in joining the honors program, but I don't know because I'm a little nervous that I was gonna go ahead and apply, but I didn't know if I had already had to be a student and apply with Oglethorpe grades, or if I could apply with my high school transcript grades.
That is a great question. So when we talk about honors at Oglethorpe, it's actually like a pretty interesting dynamic that we have. There is the traditional honors program that does require an application. That is an application your junior year, because it involves this extended thesis. It involves you being a little bit more involved in your major, kind of diving into a specific subject you want to learn more about. But we know that some freshmen want to jump straight into honors, especially if you're planning to go to med school, graduate school, something where you're going to have, people looking at your resume. So we have something that we call H designation courses. Basically, you can turn any course that you have into an honors course. So that's what we asked about on your course preference form. If we said, are you interested in honors? That's for us to know, to start having that conversation with you about what an honors course looks like. basically you work with your professor, and if they're open to it, you add something extra. You add something that will make it a more challenging course, whether that is an extra paper, presentation, project. I see Danielle's hand up. I don't know if it's for a separate question or to help answer this one. Oh, I lost her.
Oh, I lowered it.
Oh, my bad. Hey, cool. Do you have any friends who've done an honors course?
Actually, yes. And it was actually to help with your in-person question as well.
Oh, awesome.
I have friends who have done the honors courses. And it's like you said, it's anything from writing an extra paper to writing or doing an extra presentation. In my philosophy class, if you wanted to turn the class into an honors, you had to present, do an extra presentation, and then somehow relate it to something else. I had friends who took our core class sophomore year and did the honors designation for that. So it's really all about just sitting down and talking to your teachers about it and figuring out like what extra you need to do. And then as far as the in-person part where you mentioned the affinity spaces, that is also something we're doing during your welcome weekend. So that'll be an entire thing. I think it's like that Saturday or something where you'll have time to kind of sit down and meet the people who are like a part of Black Student Caucus, OLA, the international students and stuff like that. So there'll be plenty of in-person stuff like once we're on campus. Like we have that whole weekend and all of that stuff is in person for you guys. Oh, and then I saw you say what are affinity groups? Affinity groups are kind of it's like Black Student Caucus, OLA, international students, basically like groups and spaces where everybody can find their own belonging, essentially. I hope I answered your question.
So our summer affinity groups are kind of going to be run by our counselors. Basically our way of making small groups for you guys to be able to chat so that you are more able to actually get to know each other instead of just us, because obviously it's hard in an 80-person group. Yeah, no, those affinity groups when you start in the school year are definitely more tailored towards certain clubs and sort of longer lasting organizations. Though we do hope those friendships that we are helping facilitate this summer do last as well. We had a couple more logistic questions. I know we saw a lot about math placement exam from Juliana, and it started the response to that. If you have not received an email about math placement exam, you probably don't have to take it. If you are in a major where you're like, what do you mean? I should probably have to take it. I'm a STEM major. Then go ahead and reach out to us and we'll make sure it's not some sort of glitch. But we do not require it for business majors, humanities majors. So do not worry if you are not in one of those areas. So a question about a group me. We do not have a group me this time. We have a band. It is like group me and Facebook, but better. The band is there so you can both kind of have your chat with the students, and also we are able to jump in and post on that main wall to answer questions of yours. So hopefully that is useful. So hopefully you've received an email with that band link, and Juliana is posting it in the chat. Thank you, Juliana. Let's see. Next hand raised, Hannah.
I apologize. I'm technically incompetent with Zoom still. So are we required to attend all the online meetings that are listed in the schedule? Because I know
yes, every day.
Because I know when it was in person, because my sister attends Oglethorpe, that it was just one day and then you're done. So my dad's like, you have to sign up for all of them. I'm like, I don't have time.
No.
Okay,
sorry.
So I'm not required to sign up for all of them.
So all of them are going to have useful information, but we understand that you might be going to the beach or camp or a job or like living your life. You'll see we're recording this session, we'll be recording future sessions, and a lot of the stuff will not be videos, it'll be different things for you to get involved with. So we're trying to do both fun events as well as more instructional events throughout the summer. So if you miss a week, if you miss 2 weeks, you can pop back into module 2 or module 3 and do the ones that have already passed. We won't be penalizing you for anything for missing. We know that you guys have busy schedules. We've got kids who are abroad right now. Certainly, I remember what it was like to be graduating from high school. It's a busy time. We've got quite a few questions about jobs on campus. So I'd love to launch into a bit of that. I know a couple of our counselors had jobs while they were students in college, and Kinsley and Danielle would love to hear about your employment experience. 99% of Oglethorpe students are involved in some sort of work learning opportunity, whether it's an internship or a job, is something we know is very important. Rarely are employers nowadays saying like, give me the stack of 4.0s and that's it. They're looking for your resume. They're looking to see what you've been doing. It is also important for you to understand what you actually enjoyed. You might get a communications internship like I did and then go, oh, maybe communications isn't for me. So I'll let Kinsley start, and then any counselors, Danielle, if you guys want to jump in as well.
I will say that I've done pretty much every option you can do with a work study. I received the work study program through Oglethorpe. So for most of the programs, at least received financial aid within the work study. You are awarded that. You can't just apply for that. You can just apply separately for a regular job at school. But for financial aid work study, you're awarded that. I was awarded financial aid work study. And so I worked at the theater department. I was a Conant assistant, and I did that for about 2 years until unfortunately my boss was let go when the pandemic happened. So, don't have a job there anymore. But I highly recommend the work study program. I had a lot of fun. I loved being able to get to work with and know my professors in the theater program better, and just getting to see that different side of the technical aspect of theater. So definitely looking into areas that you're interested in. So whether that's communications and working with, the communications department at school, or higher education learning and working with council ambassadors and stuff like that. Then I also had an internship my freshman year with the Alliance Theater, which is the biggest theater in the Southeast. And then I'm currently a cohort for this upcoming year, my senior year, with the Alliance Theater again. The Alliance is a really great partner with Oglethorpe for all their theater things. So Oglethorpe has a lot of great connections with a lot of local Atlanta area companies for internships and other things like that. So I highly recommend going to the Career Development Center. I can't remember exactly what it's called, and they will help you. Also, Handshake is another platform that Oglethorpe has that is really helpful in looking for internships. I will say the payment for internships usually not too hot. I was not paid for my first internship. For my current cohort, I'm paid $100 a week. So, it's not a livable wage, but it is something that we're being compensated for the work that we're doing. But I do have another job off campus, just regular retail. Also, another really great thing about Oglethorpe is we're really close to Brookhaven. We're really close to 2 major malls at Lenox and Perimeter. So you can easily find jobs in retail or food or whatever you're looking for. So.
And I can answer that question as far as internships as well. Unlike Kinsley, I went a different direction with my internship. I actually ended up getting my internship because of I'm currently at the Center of Puppetry Arts, so I am a development and marketing intern. Meaning what I do is essentially kind of what I do for orientation. I put on events. I help develop and plan almost any and everything on a day-to-day basis. And although my internship is an unpaid internship, I'm actually using it for credit senior year because I'm a comm major and it is a comm internship. Your internships can be used for credit if you apply and you get it approved. So mine is approved to use in the fall semester, and I'm actually using it for 4 credits, meaning that I can just do my internship and not have to worry about taking another 400 level class, which you'll see when you get into your major. Sometimes the internship, it kind of will save you from taking classes. And that internship was something that I specifically received because of Oglethorpe. Like Kinsley said, Oglethorpe has a lot of connections to a lot of Atlanta areas. And I personally enjoy it because I'm able to put my major to use. And I'm fortunate enough to be in the position where in September I would have been with my internship for a year. And they have positions that are available to where if I want to come and work for the center upon graduation, then I am able to do so because I have been working with them and I put in the work and the dedication. So I definitely think, like Kenzie said, handshake, speaking to your professors. It's a great way to have internships. And just because you're not paid for it doesn't mean not look for it, because there's so many places that are like internships. You need one. So I totally recommend it.
Yeah, and I will say, we talked a bit about the Career Center. They are so super helpful for our students in making sure you're making those connections. And you mentioned Handshake. That is basically an app that is used for job networking. We had over 7,000 employer connections in Handshake, including over 5,600, yes, I'm reading, opportunities currently open to students. It is something where in a whole wide variety of career fields, you guys might be able to find something. And about a quarter of our students do have on-campus jobs. So if you're interested in federal work study and think you might qualify for that, feel free to reach out to us and we can see if you are eligible. If not, we do still have jobs on campus for people who are not eligible for work study. You still have to apply to those. Jumping into next questions. We had one about our core system, which love to talk about our core classes. So whoever loves core the most can start.
I mean, I guess that's me because I know a lot of people don't like it. So our core program is nothing like what you kind of did in high school, where you have your basic English class, your basic history class. Our programs are more developed in creating your person and your sense of self. So instead of a regular English class, we have a course called Narratives of the Self, which focuses on different literary topics and different literary forms, and talks about how identity is found in those and how we can develop our identity through those. And then I can't remember the name of the second one, but it's similar to politics in a way. Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one. But it's looking at essentially lots of old white men, Aristotle, Plato, the good old boring men that talk about politics things. It all kind of went over my head. I don't know what most of it is. I'm a theater major. So that one was not my cup of tea. But so there's that one. And then history perspectives is essentially a history course, but that also focuses more on literature and different points of view throughout history. And so instead of just sitting there reading a textbook, you're reading like a personal novel written by someone about their experience at some point in time, or like actual documents from like leaders during that time who were leading history at that point in time. And then math core, also not my favorite topic. Most of that completely went over my head. I will say it is nothing like geometry and physics. I still have no idea what happened to my math core class. It made no sense to me, but we passed, and that's all that mattered. And then science core is kind of similar to math core for me. If somebody wants to talk more about those smart people math science things, please do. Science is very similar to that, and you're just kind of learning the basics. I know my professor focused a little bit on like earth science and like evolution and stuff like that. But he was newer, so I'm not sure if that's the usual thing that how that's done. But yeah, that's my rough breakdown of the core system. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll talk about it on a bit of a more like macro level, since I know that was a lot of specific classes. Thank you. So the core classes are usually just one class a semester, and like she's saying, they're interdisciplinary. So when we're saying it's like math core, we're not saying it's a geometry class. It is something that is designed in a way to challenge you and to hopefully teach you some skills that are actually going to be applied in the real world, because that is a lot of what is important to us, is that you're able to get out in front of a boardroom or in front of a research presentation and feel comfortable presenting what you've learned, that you can present yourself well in an interview, that you know how to write, is such an invaluable skill. And so that is what we are working on. It's what employers call soft skills. It's what they're actually looking for when they're looking for employees. So hopefully has prepared all of our students well for the real world. I've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to be trying to get through as many of these questions as possible, but I am copying everyone's question into my chat, and if you have your full name in there, I will get in touch with you. If you don't, you might have to email me instead, because I might not know who you are, but I am putting my email in this chat so that you can send that question on over to me. What will the next semester look like COVID-wise? Fingers and toes crossed. We will be everything fully in person. We are so excited for that. We have missed kind of having that hands-on experience, though we've done as best we could while remote. But we are going to be trying to keeping you safe as well. We're going to encourage you to get your vaccinations if you're eligible for them. We are going to really still keep up our testing procedure on campus. So making sure that if for some reason we get a variant or an outbreak, that we are able to keep you guys safe. Our team, our residence life staff did an incredible job of that throughout the fall and spring, and making sure that our students we're staying on campus and still healthy. So excited for you guys in terms of that. When it comes to, let's see, we've got a couple math. Yes, payment plans and all of that sort of information will be coming out soon. In terms of classes, we know that you are clueless. That is something that every single person when they start out their freshman year doesn't know exactly what they're supposed to take. That is what professional advising staff is for. So if you have not filled out your course preference form, do that, because that's how we know what you like. But we will be putting it together based on what you say you're interested in and what we know would be a good fit and a good progression for you in your major. Or if you're like me, came into college undecided, something that might help you take, the steps towards finding a potential major. So there's a lot of flexibility in there. I read a question about someone had a friend that was interested in transferring. We are still taking applications for freshmen and for transfer students. So if you got friends, send them my way. We'll try to make sure everything comes over as well as possible. If anyone has dual enrollment transcripts, I know we sent out an email today asking for them. We would love to let you know how your credits are going to come in, and make sure that you are getting the right fall schedule based on the classes you've already taken. Octavia, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so I took IB diploma at my high school, and we don't get our results back until mid/late July. Do I just need to send them in as soon as I get them, and that's fine?
Exactly.
Okay.
So then when you get them, and if for some reason it impacts what courses you should be taking for the fall, then you can work with advising to switch that around, no problem. We are nothing if not adaptable, especially in the year 2021. even they're coming in person, will be there some kind of twist to that. I hope there won't be a twist. My boss said unless there's a nuclear apocalypse, that I get to go back on campus. Yesterday was my first day back in quite a while, and I missed it dearly. You'll see Ethan is sitting in our dear office right now. We love our campus as much as hopefully all of you guys will. So if you have remaining questions, again, make sure you get that email from me, that you can send them our way. Yes, we appreciate all of you for being here so very much. As you can see that I'm running out of time. There's a lot of info to learn this summer. A lot of info. That is the reason why we are spacing everything out. That is the reason why we're going to have so many different seminars for different topics. You're going to have the chance to ask residents your questions about how move-in works, and about what you should bring to your dorm. We're going to have the chance to ask financial aid. How do I set up a payment plan? How does billing work throughout my 4 years? We are really here for you all summer long. So thank you for your time today. But we will be signing off after. Let's answer one last question. Malachi, you get the final question because your hand's up.
Okay, so the question that I have is, when is the deadline for applications being sent in, or is there no deadline?
Are you talking about just applications for admission to Oglethorpe?
Yes, for admissions. I wanted to know for one of my friends.
Awesome. Well, technically, the deadline is when school starts. Obviously, you don't want to let him wait that long, because you would need to sign up for classes and possibly housing, and get all of this information from summer orientation. So basically my answer is, if he can submit it tomorrow, that's the best date to submit it. But we'll obviously work with him if he's still working on figuring out an application or figuring out schools. Yeah, I hope you guys all are enjoying your kind of intro into the Stormy Mutual community. Bring your friends. We love more students. And we'll be having, again, our first affinity group tomorrow. I hope I will see you there. But goodbye for now, everyone.